Okay, I want to bring in George Blackman, a law professor. You know, Donald Trump is vowing to move forward with various lawsuits to contest the election results. Do you think any of those lawsuits have any merit?
None of these lawsuits, even if successful, would turn the election around. These sorts of litigation cases may make a difference if the margin of victory is very small. But in all these cases, the margin of victory is in the tens of thousands or even the hundreds of thousands. It's not enough to flip the outcome.
So Trump is refusing to commit to a peaceful transfer of power, and it doesn't look like he'll concede. What do you think is going to happen?
You know, it doesn't really matter what he says or does. On January 20th, the Chief Justice will swear in Joe Biden, and Joe Biden will become president. And President Trump can tweet, he can stew about it, he can file lawsuits. But it really makes no difference what he says at this point. The train is going. His term will end January 20th, and we'll have a new president in a couple months.
So you don't think there's any chance the Supreme Court would step in here, as Trump has said it may?
Even if the Supreme Court issues a ruling in the Pennsylvania case, it would not affect the outcome of the election. Biden has far more electoral votes, and the Pennsylvania case really doesn't affect the outcome anymore. There's Georgia, there's Nevada, and other states. In other words, Biden can win even if Pennsylvania goes the other way.
So Trump made his naming of conservative justices to the Supreme Court. He also named some 50 federal judges, and he made that part of his argument for re-election. His legacy in that respect is going to last quite some time, won't it?
Indeed, President Trump's greatest legacy will not be his legislation. He really didn't have much. His greatest legacy will be life tenure judges. And let me make this point very bluntly. If we have a Republican-controlled Congress with a Democratic president, I think there'll be a very small number of judges confirmed. I think the Senate will simply block a lot of Biden's judicial nominations. And if we have a vacancy in the Supreme Court with a divided Congress, that seat may stay empty for some time.
Okay. I also wanted to ask you about Amy Coney Barrett. You know, they pushed through that nomination just days before the election. What effect do you think she will have on the future of the Supreme Court?
Well, I think she'll have a significant effect. She is far more conservative than was Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And I think she's going to be a leading light. I think she'll be a luminary for conservatives on the court. In cases involving abortion, religious freedom, the Second Amendment, and guns, I think she will be in a conservative majority. More importantly, Chief Justice Roberts is not the swing vote anymore. He becomes somewhat relegated. So Roberts may move to the right to ensure that he's always in the majority and he's always in control.
What about this issue of court packing that came up during the campaign? Is that something that you think may be likely to happen? Joe Biden said that he would study the issue and make a decision later.
You know, if there's a Republican majority, court packing's dead. Perhaps if the Democrats can take the Senate in 2022, they can look at it, but by that point, people have forgotten about it. So I think the window for court packing was now, right at the beginning of the presidency. With a divided Congress, I think that's out the window.
Okay. Thank you so much, Josh Blackman. I'm sorry, I think I called you George when I introduced you. So Josh Blackman, a constitutional law professor at South Texas College of Law.